At this particular time, I'd like to introduce my wife, May Johnson. She also grew up here in Tyler, Texas, and she's going to tell you a little bit more about herself. But this much I would like to say about her is that oftentimes it's stated that there's plenty good in the Piney Woods of East Texas. Well, she's one of those goods in the Piney Woods of East Texas. So at this time, let's listen to what she has to say.
Good morning. Today is May 31st, 2025. My name is May Joyce Jones Johnson. I was born in Flint, Texas. I grew up in Flint, Texas. My first school was Galilee Elementary School, and from Galilee Elementary School, I attended St. Louis Elementary School, and from there to WAP Junior High School, and from junior high school, I attended Emmy J. Scott High School, graduating from Emmy J. Scott High School. And from then, I left Texas for about 5 years, spent some time in New York and returning to Texas after about 5 years and ended up back here in Tyler, Texas. Today, I want to center on my grandmother, my family history. Her name was Bell Zola Sherman Johnson. She is from the Cherokee County area, and I want to share some information about her, our family history, and where we came from and where we headed for at this time. My mother was Viola Johnson Jones, which was her daughter. My grandmother's name was Bell Zola Sherman Johnson Brooks Chilton Dean. Bell Zola Sherman was born to an enslaved mother, Willie Johnson, the daughter of Sally Johnson, who in 1865, after emancipation, assumed the parents' surname of Craton. They lived in Frankston, Texas. Bell Zola Sherman was raised by her grandparent, Sally Craton, and Middleton Craton. Sally Johnson's birthplace was in Virginia in 1838. She married Middleton, which was also known as Mid-Craton. Birthplace for him was in Alabama in 1842. Their daughter, Willie Johnson Craton, birthplace was Georgia, born in 1858. Millie married Richard Brooks in 1874. Bell Zola Sherman was born April 12, 1892, and died February the 5th, 1963, at the age of 71. She was buried in Corinth Cemetery in Bullard, Texas. She married Willie Johnson in 1904. She later married Matthew Brooks, Mr. Chilton and George Dean. Millie Craton and Richard Brooks' children were half siblings to Bell Zola. Their names was Calvin Brooks, born in 1878, and Burrell Brooks, born in 1880. Bell Zola's parents were Willie Johnson Craton and George Sherman. His name is on the Bell Zola's death certificate. Bell Zola is listed in the census record as Bell Zola Sherman, Crayton, Johnson, Brooks, Chilton, and Dean. She was the mother of 13 children. Lucille Johnson, born 1906. Jesse Johnson, born 1908, mulatto. Lim, which was also born in 1910, mulatto. Robert Johnson, born 1911, mulatto. Herman Johnson, born 1913, mulatto. Viola Johnson, which was my mother, was born 1914, married Robert Jones, 1933, in Smith County. They lived in Flint, Texas, and she died in 1960. Victoria Johnson was born in 1916, and she married William McEwen in 1939. They lived in Flint, Texas. Lucille Johnson was born in 1917, also mulatto. Lafayette Brooks, which was also known as Lee Fate, was born in 1919. His father's name was Matthew Brooks. And Ed Brooks was born 1920, also mulatto. Clyde Chilton was born 1922, and Gladys Elorse Dean was born 1924, married Dylan Henry Thompson, whose father's name was George Dean. Her father's name was George Dean. Also, Odell Dean, which was the baby of the children, was born in 1927. In the 1870 U.S. federal census, Middleton, Craton, birthplace shows Alabama. He lived in Beat 4 of Cherokee County, living with his wife and one child, Millie Craton. In 1870, the U.S. Census shows Willie and Virginia Sherman lived at Etna Beat, ETNA Beat 3 in Smith County. In 1876, Millie Craton married Richard Brooks on March the 4th, 1876. According to the 1880 U.S. Census, George Sherman lived in Precinct 4 of Cherokee County. His parents were Wally and Virginia Sherman. Wally Sherman's birthplace was Mississippi. His wife, Virginia's birthplace was Virginia. According to the 1880 U.S. federal census, Middleton Craton birthplace was Alabama. He was living in Cherokee, Texas with his wife, Sally Craton. In the 1900 U.S. federal census, Bell Sherman lived with her grandparents, Sally and Milton Craton, in Cherokee County, Texas. In 1910, the census in Precinct 4, Cherokee County, Middleton Craton was married to Sally Johnson Craton. According to the 1920 census, in Bullard, Texas, Smith County, Bell Zola Johnson lived in Bullard on Tyler Road. She was married to Matthew Brooks. At that time, her children were Jesse, Lim, Robert, Herman, Victoria, and Robert. According to the 1930 census in Precinct 4, Cherokee County, Bell Johnson lived on Piney Road, and she was widowed. The children at that time were Jesse, Lim, Robert, Herman, Victoria, Viola, Lafayette, also known as Lee Fate, Clyde, Gladys, and Odell. In 1940 census, she lived in CUNY on Mount Selman Road, which is north of Reese, Cherokee County. Bell Zola Johnson was shown as widowed. Also, in the 1940 census, World War II draft card listed Lee Fate Brooks as his mother, Bell Zola Johnson, residing in Jacksonville, CUNY, Texas, Cherokee County. On his 1995 Colorado death certificate, his mother's name is listed as Bell Brooks with his father, Matthew Brooks. In the 1950 census, Bell Johnson lived in CUNY, Texas, which is Cherokee County, and she died February the 5th, 1963. That is a list of her background, and now we're going to give you some more information about her and her husband, Willie Johnson.
As I stated previously, oftentimes we run into difficult times. We run into issues and things that can either break us down or make us stronger, either as individuals or as a family. Here we see that Bell Zola Sherman was born August 15th, 1889 in Cherokee County to the parents of Millie Craton and George Sherman. Her mother died when she was very young, resulting in her being raised by her grandparents, Mid and Sally Craton. She attended school in Cherokee County where she was an above-average student. She was a lifetime member of the Herrings of Jericho Lodge. She joined Corinth Baptist Church at an early age and remained a loyal member until her death. She married Willie Johnson October 25th, 1904, and to this union 8 children were born, of which One, Lucille, died at a very early age. Their other children were Jesse, Liam, Robert, Herman, Victoria, and Viola. After the birth of Viola, Willie was sent to prison for stealing a horse. The research provided by Norman Johnson indicates that Willie was a hard-working man who took very good care of his family. He had his own team of horses and various kinds of farming equipment. He even had a horse-drawn carriage, which was the envy of his neighbors. I can't help but to think that maybe he was doing too good for a black man and was framed for stealing the horse by someone who envied or disliked him. I guess that we'll never know. His death certificate indicates his cause of death as pneumonia in the Rusk County Asylum Hospital and being buried in the Asylum Cemetery in Rusk County. The Rusk County Penitentiary was built in 1887 to alleviate the overcrowding at the Huntsville State Penitentiary. In 1917, the Rusk Penitentiary was converted from a prison to an asylum hospital to care for insane black men. 2 years later, it was open to all mentally ill patients, black and white. The prisoners who were serving time when the conversion took place were sent to various other locations to finish their term. Some were kept at the hospital to work the farms and to do other jobs to support the hospital's operations. I hope that Willie was one of those prisoners who was kept on at the hospital, and this would be the reason that he was in the asylum hospital at the time of his death, and not because he had suffered a mental breakdown. While Willie was in the Rusk County Penitentiary, Mama Bell married Matthew Brooks, and to this union one son, Lafayette Brooks, was born. According to the 1920 U.S. Federal Census, Mama Bell was married to Matthew Brooks, who moved to Smith County, living on Bullard and Tyler Road. In the 1930 census, listed in the U.S. Federal Census as widowed with 3 other children, Clyde, Gladys, and Odell, living on the Piney Road in Cherokee County. According to the 1940 U.S. Census, Mama Bell was living in CUNY, north of Reese, where she lived until her death. She passed away in her home on February 5th, 1963. She was buried in Corinth Cemetery February 9th, 1963, under the direction of Mercy Funeral Home. It is in her memory that her many descendants and friends celebrate the Mama Bell reunion.
Let me just say, in our investigation of our history, the rumor was that my grandfather, Willie Johnson, owned the horse and the carriage, and that the envy and jealousy of someone stole his horse. Well, since it was his horse, he went and got his horse and brought him back. And when he did that, he was accused of stealing his own horse and was sent to prison, and there's where he spent the rest of his life, in prison for that crime, stealing his own horse. And now, years later, we are celebrating our grandmother reunion. We all get together at least every other year to celebrate my grandmother and her children. So let me tell you a little bit about the family reunion that we attend. We call it the Mama Bell Family Reunion. And the reason why we call it the Mama Bell Family Reunion is because Mama Bell had several different last names, as I read previously. So we just say Mama Bell, which we all knew her as Mama Bell. The Mama Bell family reunion began Thanksgiving Day in 1939 in Smith County at the home of Robert and Viola Jones. At that time, Viola and Robert were raising turkeys. Therefore, they provided the turkey each year. These reunions continued for several years. In 1945, Mama Bell moved to CUNY, Texas, and the Thanksgiving Day reunion was relocated to her home. When the reunion started meeting at Mama Bell's home, Robert and Gladys assumed the responsibility of providing the turkey. However, Victoria cooked it along with some cornbread dressing. All family members brought a variety of other foods and drinks. The grandchildren would enjoy a good baseball game or other outside activities while Mama Bell would spend the day enjoying all of her children, her daughter-in-laws, son-in-laws, grandchildren, neighbors, and friends. These reunions continued until Mama Bell's death, February the 5th, 1963. After a 2-year period of grief and mourning, Victoria and William McCurran restarted the reunions at their home. Once again, we would meet at 12 o'clock noon, Thanksgiving Day. In 1975, Victoria and Bud moved to CUNY and were unprepared to host the reunions. Therefore, Herman and Jesse B. volunteered their home in Cherokee County for that year. The following year, our reunions returned to the home of Victoria and Bud and continued until 1985. Due to the family growth, the 1986 and 1987 reunions were held at the Brookshires Park Recreation Center on Lake Palestine. Unfortunately, that was the last Mama Bell family reunion until 1999. In 1999, Obie Johnson had a vision to get our family back together again. With his leadership and the assistance of Clara Bell Jones Barnes, the reunions got a new start. This reunion was held at Corinth Baptist Church in Bullard, Texas. At the closing of this reunion, we agreed to have a Mama Bell family reunion every 2 years. From June 2001 until the present, our reunions had been held at the home of T.J. and Bertha Johnson in Bullard, Texas. Due to COVID-19, the reunions were omitted from 2019 until 2023. In 2023, we once again met at Corinth Baptist Church in Bullard, Texas for the reunion. The goal of our family, Mama Bell's family reunion, is to keep our family together and to continue the family legacy. All of Mama Bell's children, Jesse Johnson, Lim Johnson, Robert Johnson, Herman Johnson, Victoria Johnson McEwen, Viola Johnson Jones, Lafayette Brooks, Clyde Chilton, Gladys Dean Thompson, and Odell Dean have gone home to be with our ancestors. However, their memories will forever live in our hearts. At this time, we are planning a reunion again at the Corinth Baptist Church in Bullard, Texas, where we will get together family from Mama Bell's family descendants. We will meet there to continue the family legacy that my grandmother taught us. My grandmother was a very spiritual woman. She was a member of the Corinth Baptist Church. She raised her children there in the Corinth Baptist Church in Bullard, Texas, and therefore that is where we will gather in her memory on June the 20th and 21st of 2025, continuing to teach what she taught us. She would always start her reunions on time. We were to be on time. We started at 12 o'clock. We knew to be there at 12 o'clock on time, and her children were always there with their children on time. We had the best of times playing outside and having a good time with each other, family members meeting together that had not been together throughout the years. This year we will do the same. We will meet together, we will pray together, we will sing together, we will play games together, and we will enjoy each other as a family, and then we will leave to go to our separate homes in different cities to spread and continue the legacy of my grandmother, which was Bell Zola Johnson, Bell Zola Sherman Johnson. Thank you for listening to this. We appreciate your time. We hope that you have learned something about our family and learned something that will continue to help you throughout your years as you grow stronger and become a better Christian with your life lived by the Word of God, which Mama Bell taught us all. Thank you.